Hey guys, welcome to question MM213 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide. So we've got this question, first off, we know that it's worth 3 marks, and we cannot use our calculator, alright? So that's a pretty important part of this question. So we know that Q is a point on the line y plus 2 equals x on 2, such that the length of OQ, the line segment from the origin O to Q, is a minimum, right? And we need to find this minimum length and the coordinates of Q, right? So the first thing you should always do with these sort of questions is draw a diagram. So you should be really comfortable with these sort of linear equations and what they look like. So we can rearrange y plus 2 equals x on 2 to be y equals x on 2 minus 2, right? Which is what this graph here looks like. And we know that Q is a point on this graph, and this bit here is a minimum, all right? So we're searching for the length of this segment here and the coordinates of this point Q here. So first things first is, if this is a minimum length, it means that it must be perpendicular to this line here, right? Because if it's anything but perpendicular, it's going to be longer than what it would be if it was just straight and perpendicular, right? So if OQ is perpendicular to this line, it means that it has the negative reciprocal gradient, right? So M of OQ is equal to, so M of OQ being the gradient of OQ is equal to -1 over the gradient of this line here, okay? We know that the gradient of the line is 1/2 because it's x on 2, so mx is 1/2. And then that means that our gradient of OQ is equal to -1 over 1/2, which is equal to -2, right? Because this 2 just comes up here. That means that our gradient of OQ is -2, right? We also know that OQ passes through the origin, which is 0, 0, all right? So we want to find out the equation of OQ so that we can find out the point of intersection between those two, right? So we could say that because it goes through 0, our y-intercept is 0, which means that our c value for this line is going to be 0, right? So we can say that a line follows y equals mx plus c. We know that m is -2 for OQ. And because it passes through the point 0, 0, our c value is going to be also 0. So our equation is just going to be y equals -2x. So this is our OQ line, right? This is our first mark, okay? So our first mark comes here. And now what we're going to do is, because we want to find where Q is the point of intersection between this line and this line, which means that we're going to actually equate those to find the point of intersection, all right? So we're going to say that we know that y equals -2x and y equals x on 2 take 2, which means that these two are going to equal each other at the point of intersection. So that means that -2x equals x on 2 minus 2. Sweet. From here, this 2 is going to come over here to be equal to 2, and then x on 2 plus 2x is 5x on 2. From here, we can just rearrange to get 4 equals 5x, and then x equals 4 over 5. So we know that our x coordinate for Q is 4 on 5, right? And how do we find our y coordinate? We sub it into our equation. So y equals -2 times 4 on 5, which equals -2 times, which is equal to -8 on 5. So therefore, Q is equal to 4 on 5, -8 on 5. And that's our first part of the question answered. Find Q. So we've just found the coordinates of Q. So that's where our second mark comes in, guys. And then from here, all we're going to do is find our length, right? Because the second part of our question asks us for the length. I'm just going to leave this Q value down here so that we've got it there. Now, how do we find the length between 2 points? Well, we use our length formula, or our distance formula. So length is equal to the square root of x1 plus x2 squared, x1 minus what is our length formula? Yeah, y1 minus y2 squared. Cool. Because we've only got 0, 0 and 4 on 5, -8 on 5, we're actually just going to get square root of 4 on 5 squared plus negative 8 on 5 squared. Sweet. From here, we can simply say that we get the square root of 4 squared is 16 on 5 squared is 25 plus negative 8 squared is 64 on 25. From here we get root 80 on 25, and then that can simplify to 4 root 5 over 5, which is our, and don't forget units, right? Because whenever we're talking about length or distance, we need to have a unit. If we don't have a unit, we just say units. That's our third mark. Guys, that is it for this question. I know it's a little bit difficult, but the best thing to do would be to draw this diagram. And I think the key here is recognizing that if the length is a minimum, it means that those two lines are perpendicular to each other. So that's a really important key to take away from this question. Guys, if you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments below. But otherwise, have an awesome day and thanks for watching.